Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and I can't believe we're at the day where I'd say this, but today is the final episode of Road to Ranked for Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. It's been an absolute honor to make these videos for all of you, and it has just been an amazing 3-year journey. I think these last 3 years are easily the most active I've ever been on YouTube, and it's certainly been challenging in many ways, definitely learning new skills as well, but I feel like I've grown so much, and it's just been so fun to make these videos for all of you. And, you know, Sword and Shield was just such a meaningful era for me in particular. I think being able to pass 100,000 subscribers was always, you know, a dream that I had thought about and never thought I'd actually get to see that dream happen. And so that happened really at the start of Sword and Shield. I competed once again, got top 8 at the Salt Lake City Regional Championships, and actually the team that we're going to use today, it is that team, although with some slight deviations because I actually used the Pokemon for other teams, and so I was like, okay, I'm just going to recreate it quickly and be able to, yeah, close off Road to Ranked with it. But yeah, you know, got to do that. I launched VGC Guide, which is a website that Aaron, Trailer, Wolfie, and I put together to share our knowledge and love of VGC and teach people really how to get into the game. And if you haven't seen that before, I'll link it down in the description below. I was part of the first ever analyst desk at the World Championships and basically had a show that was, yeah, just super unique and a super fun opportunity. I got to meet a lot of you all in in-person tournaments as well, and it was just so refreshing to be back in person. So all of this to say is that it's been an amazing 3-year journey. You know, for me, I've been making content while also being in school. It's crazy. When Sword and Shield first started, I was in undergrad. I graduated from undergrad, I worked for a few years, and now I'm actually back in grad school. So it's like I've been in so many different chapters of my life that if you had just even watched a video from 3 years ago, it's so different from where I am today. So I'm rambling on for long enough, but my point is it has been so fun to do these videos for all of you, and I have so much fun content planned for Gen 9. And so yeah, thank you for being part of this journey, and I really appreciate all of you. So yeah, hope you enjoy the episode. Leave a like if you enjoy, and we're going to be using the Choice Scarf, Groudon, and Solgaleo team that I used to get top 8 at Salt Lake City Regionals with some slight move changes just because I wanted to get an episode out today, and yeah, I had to re-edit some of the sets. Ooh, we've got a Groudon Zekrom team here with Charizard, Comfey, Bronzong, and Incineroar. Definitely a fun way to end the format. Now, the Charizard is supposed to have Ancient Power, but yeah, I think I ended up like using this Charizard for a different team and ended up getting rid of Ancient Power. So sadly, we don't have it here. That would actually be somewhat helpful against their Charizard. Low-key interested in the idea of Groudon plus Solgaleo. I can just go for like a Rock Tomb into a Max Lightning, which is kind of cool. I think our regular Charizard offensively here is really strong in the back. And then for the last one, I could bring Whimsicott for Tailwind. Indeedee for Redirection. Indeedee for Redirection is actually fairly interesting because I can just follow me and spam Heat Waves. Which I think is kind of cool here. Otherwise, it's Whimsicott to set up Tailwind. It does have Moonblast for Zekrom as well, but, you know, I'll give Indeedee a shot here. So, yeah, I think, like, I don't know, Mimikyu is also an interesting consideration here. They do have some potential Trick Room with Comfey, for example, as well as the Bronzong. And so, if I were to bring Mimikyu, I could go for Taunt onto either of those Pokemon, but Groudon plus Solgaleo is decently effective against some Trick Room combos. And they're going to go with Comfey's Zekrom, which I am very okay with. I think this is actually just a fairly straightforward Bulldoze, but the question with Solgaleo is I could Max Quake into Zekrom. This could be Weakness Policy Zekrom, right? I actually kind of expect it to be Weakness Policy, so I'm going to tell you what I want to do here. I want to go for a Bulldoze. Dynamax. I was going to say Steel Spike, but I guess if they Ally Switch, then they can heal up next turn, which is kind of annoying. So I'm thinking of Bulldoze and then Max Quaking the Zekrom slot. But they could theoretically, like, Max Guard Trick Room, which is annoying. So, yeah. Okay, I'll go for Bulldoze and Steel Spike here onto the Comfey slot. My dream would be them just protecting Zekrom on turn 1. Yeah, I think Bulldoze Max Quake into Zekrom is acceptable, but there is a small world in which they go for a Max Guard and Trick Room, and if that were the case, that would be a complete disaster for me, because then I'm locked in with Choice Scarf Groudon, you just outpace me, it's a little bit less than ideal. I think the other good thing is if they're leading this, it makes me think they're not going to lead into Max Charizard as much, because I think with this lead, you almost always Dynamax Zekrom, and so Max Charizard is something that threatens the Solgaleo significantly, right? And there's the Dynamax from Zekrom. Okay, So yeah, I think like there are a bunch of different possibilities here. One example is Ally Switch plus a max move. Another is Draining Kiss to activate Weakness Policy in Zekrom, max move. A third is potentially Max Guard plus Trick Room. I think Bulldoze Quake probably would have ended up working out here, but yeah, I just don't want to mess with the Max Guard. They actually go for Helping Hand, which I actually think is totally fine here. Like, yeah, you get slightly more damage, but here I will get the KO onto Comfy, right? And the reason I just want to eliminate Comfy this early on is because I think Ally Switch is just so annoying to deal with, and I don't want to worry about that or Trick Room right now. So everyone's speed gets dropped here. Yep, there's the Weakness Policy on Zekrom. If I had to guess, they're going to target the Groudon here rather than the Solgaleo slot, because you probably should perceive Groudon as the bigger threat, because Groudon could Dynamax and just Max Quake you. I could see them going for something like Helping Hand and Warm Wind into Groudon, but maybe they know about the team and anticipate the Weakness Policy. Either way, though, we will get a KO and we'll get a defense boost along the way, but we're staring down a +2 attack and special attack Zekrom, and this could be special Zekrom as well. So, yeah, there's the Max Worm Wind. That's going to go into Groudon, and I will take that trade any day. Cool. Guess a crit, but I don't think that really mattered. Trading Groudon, though, for that is, I think, totally fine for me. So, we could go into Indeedee or Charizard now. Indeedee does have the interesting thing of redirection. I am a little bit worried about them having Charizard in the back. I guess that's where Whimsicott probably would have served me a little bit better, but I'm curious if they'd really bring Whimsicott in the back here, given how this has played out thus far. Or, sorry, Charizard in the back, but they do answer the question, and the answer is yes, they will have it in the back. Okay. So I can go for Follow Me here. Heat Wave is going to hurt, but I can just KO the Charizard with the Max Lightning. So, yeah, we're going to just go for Follow Me and launch a Lightning. As long as the Solgaleo survives, it's totally fine, right? Because then we'll KO Charizard. It will be last turn of Dynamax on both Solgaleo plus the... Oh, Zekrom Max Guard's even better. Okay. I didn't have that much incentive to target it there, truthfully, because, yeah, Charizard I deem as the bigger threat right now. So, Heat Wave is going to hurt here if they're Life Orb. Yep. But I think we survive. Nice. A little scary there, though. Indeedee is supposed to have Psychic Seed, but I think I consumed my Psychic Seed in-game by accident and couldn't find another one, so that's why I have Citrus Berry. Charizard actually didn't have Life Orb there, so if we were Life Orb, I think Solgaleo would have fainted there. So I think even though we're looking like we're in pretty good shape here, if I'm thinking about ways where I could have improved my gameplay here, bringing Whimsicott over the Indeedee slot would have actually been more valuable. Yeah. Because then I would have been able to just bring out Whimsicott, Tailwind, and then Max Lightning. But then it's an interesting debate because then Charizard can obviously protect or switch into Groudon, and then Zekrom can target Solgaleo with like a Max Quake, for example. But yep, now they bring out Groudon. That's fine. We've got Charizard in the back. I mean, I think here I'm down to just Helping Hand. I don't actually think I need a Helping Hand here to KO Zekrom, right? Because I could protect as well. But I also don't think Indeedee faints to Oppressive Blades here, so I am down to Helping Hand and Max Quake. So the goal is to just KO Zekrom, then it's a Charizard plus Indeedee 2v1 against Groudon. I think like the interesting debate in this game is whether or not I should risk Bulldoze plus Max Quake on Zekrom on turn 1, because I had the ability to just knock out my opponent's Dynamax Pokemon immediately. It's obviously not a very bad trade if we get that KO, so that's something to consider. But yeah, I was worried about potential Max Guard plus Trick Room, for example. I think that could have really messed me up, so I'd rather get the Steel Spike guaranteed. Great play by them here, by the way. They actually recognize, hey, my only way of winning at this point really is either a double protect or maybe hoping for a miss from Charizard. And so really good foresight to recognize, hey, I should just go for it there. Another approach I could have taken here is like Helping Hand plus Steel Spike into Groudon, but my fear is that the Charizard is not very strong against Zekrom, right? Whereas now I have a late game Charizard with Blast Burn into Groudon. So, assuming Precipice Blades comes out here, yep, expect Indeedee to survive. Yep, but margins were really thin here. 4 HP there. I actually didn't take it as well as I expected it to, but yeah, now I get a free switch into Charizard. The scary thing is I could still lose this game off a miss because I am essentially relying on Blast Burn or Heat Wave. And we're going to rely on Blast Burn. I'm just going to go for Helping Hand Blast Burn here. The other interesting question is the Groudon. What item do you have? Is it Assault Vest? Do you have Rock Slide? Because sometimes Groudons nowadays are running like Rock Tomb instead, for example. Or Stone Edge. Okay, Helping Hand. Charizard does not, or Groudon does not go for Protect. Blast Burn is going to connect, and that's Life Orb, Sun Boosted, Helping Hand. That's a one-hit KO. Beautiful. And yeah, like once again, with this Solgaleo team, like late game Charizard is actually super, super valuable in finishing up some of these knockouts. So yeah, definitely an interesting game there. Overall, I would say that it was really close, right? Like, if the NDD faints there, I'm in much worse shape, I would say, and maybe just lose if it's Assault Vest on the Groudon and they can survive the Blast Burn. That would be bad. I think the Solgaleo just hanging out with the sliver of HP was obviously huge as well, especially because Zekrom had max guarded that turn. If they didn't max guard and they had just attacked there, though, I guess I would get a free switch in a Charizard, and I can go for something like a Heat Wave plus a Steel Spike, so maybe it still would have been okay, but yeah. Either way, fun first game here. Next game here, and we've got a Zacian, Calyrex, Regieleki team, but with some interesting support, Grimmsnarl, Cinderace, Rillaboom. That makes me feel like I'm playing early Sword and Shield pre-restricted format. So, how do we want to approach this? I think, honestly, one thing that looks fairly strong here is just setting up Tailwind and then, like, using Charizard offensively. I think Groudon and Solgaleo can be effective, but I am worried about, like, Fake Out pressure. It's not that bad, though. I don't know. Grimmsnarl can also have Trick Iron Ball, for example. So I am fairly interested in the idea of Whimsicott Charizard with Groudon and Solgaleo in the back. I actually think Mimikyu is an interesting option in this one as well because of Shadow Sneak as well as, like, Will-O-Wisp pressure. So I think that is something that's interesting. But I'm down to go for this. I also think, like, you know, since this is our final episode of Road to Ranked in Sword and Shield, I want to just feature a bunch of different combinations, you know, and we got to go for Groudon and Solgaleo in the first one, and now we're going for the Charizard plus the Whimsicott, so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, Inity here I would be interested in bringing for two reasons. One is control of terrain. That can actually be fairly valuable against Rillaboom, but I think the problem with Inity is that... Well, I mean, it does wall Calyrex decently well, but I don't do very much in response to Calyrex. And, like, Mimikyu is kind of a hard one to slot into here. When I had initially designed the, you know, kind of concept of Mimikyu on this team, it was, well, twofold. One was to activate Weakness Policy on Solgaleo, but I don't love the idea of leading Mimikyu and Solgaleo here because they have Calyrex Shadow Rider, right? That can just pressure me with the Will-O-Wisp immediately. Something like Calyrex Zacian and Calyrex Aleki would be really annoying, but it's going to be Rillaboom and Calyrex. Okay, that works for me. I feel like this is pretty tough for them, honestly. Like, what's stopping me turn one from just going for... I could double protect. Honestly, I could just G-Max Wildfire Rillaboom immediately, get that out of the way, and protect Whimsicott. I think I'm okay with that. Like, the only thing that loses to is some really crazy, like, I don't know, max from the Calyrex, right? Maybe they have Snarl, I guess, but I'm down for that. Because, like, Wildfire in general in this matchup is fairly valuable, right? Like, they presumably have Zacian in the back. The only thing that is immune to it is Cinderace, but I don't really mind fighting against it here, so I'm just going to go for Protect and Wildfire on turn one. Clearing Rillaboom in this matchup is also fairly important because that is a big, big problem against Groudon, especially if it's, like, Choice Band Rillaboom. So if we get rid of the Rillaboom, then we've set ourselves up for this interesting late game where I can use Groudon and Solgaleo and just bulldoze into, you know, Earthquakes, for example. Also, like, the Wildfire damage here is just going to really add up fairly quickly, I think. And I'm just protecting here because I want Whimsicott to survive and get a Tailwind up the next turn. Beautiful. There's Fake Out into that slot. I would expect Fake Out Astral Barrage. It could be Snarl or Trick Room, though, and it is just Astral. Perfect. So it's like, yeah, Charizard takes a little bit of damage here. I mean, it's going to be a little bit more than a little bit. Actually, not as much as I expected, truthfully. So I'll take it. So I get a Life Orb Wildfire off here into the Rillaboom slot. That's just enough for a one-hit KO. We break Calyrex's Focus Sash now as well. So now Whimsicott is in a position to just Tailwind, which is awesome. Wonderful. So now you can bring out Zacian. I mean, if it's not Cinderace... Oh, I guess Grimmsnarl could go for Trick Shenanigans and could actually pressure Fake Out onto Whimsicott as well. And there's Grimmsnarl, yeah. Yeah, like, I'm definitely down to just Tailwind here. We'll see if they have Trick, but given how well we took that Astral Barrage, I can survive another one. But, like, interesting. Given their team, if you're bringing Grimmsnarl and Zacian as your final Pokemon, you only have one real max option, and that's the Calyrex right now. That is actually fairly interesting, because, like, Grimmsnarl, I don't know, you could go for Speed Control on a Charizard, max Calyrex, and then max Phantasm into Charizard, which is actually a little scary. I am just going to Tailwind and Wildfire Calyrex here, but if I were them, I'm maxing Calyrex. Yep. It could also be Fake Tears Grim, although I actually don't think that would be as much of a problem. Could just set up a light screen here. I guess Light Screen would be okay, right? I also thought about just eliminating the Grimmsnarl here with like Moonblast Wildfire. Like, well, I'm really curious what Grim goes for. Okay, so it's not a fake out. At least we'll get Tailwind up, but it could be Trick Iron Ball or Thunder Wave or Scary Face right now. Yeah. Okay. That is actually going to be really annoying. Calyrex will get a special attack boost as well, so I could have max guarded the Charizard in that position. Oh, but Charizard hangs on with 13 HP. Okay, a very pleasant surprise. Well, that's huge, although it does kind of end up being a waste here for my Tailwind. Like, I could have gone for Moonblast and Wildfire, right? But that's really good damage on a Calyrex. I'll take it. You're going to faint from Life Orb. That's fine. I can bring in Solgaleo now, and with Solgaleo, you cannot slow me down, which is cool. You can, however, Scary Face Whimsicott, and I don't think a Sunsteel Strike KOs Calyrex right now. So, if I were them, I would Scary Face the Whimsicott, and then go for... I guess they could still have Trick on Grimmsnarl as well, right? I want to conserve Groudon in the back, because I think their last Pokemon is going to be Zacian right now. Okay. So I think what I want to do here is 2 turns of Wildfire. Like, I want to Moonblast one of these two. Probably best to Moonblast. I just think it's interesting because they might end up activating Weakness Policy through Protect, right? I don't think Moonblast and Wildfire KOs the Grim. Okay, I'm gonna Moonblast Grim here and protect Solgaleo. Like, because I think they might activate my policy for me. Oh. That is really interesting. I'm totally okay with that, though, especially if it's Zacian coming in. Wow, they actually had Cinderace in the back. Huh. That is so interesting. Okay, well, Choice Scarf Groudon's looking very nice in this endgame right now. And they just set up Reflect, okay. I really would have expected Cinderace to come out first over Grimmsnarl, given that they had it in the back. But I think it's smart to drop Zacian, because like when I had brought this team, part of the theory was that it's very anti-Zacian. Okay, Grimmsnarl faints from Wildfire. Cinderace, of course, is immune to Wildfire, which is why I expected it to come out a little bit sooner in this battle. So, yeah, I didn't expect to see it all the way now. Anyway, Tailwind is set up. Calyrex's max is over. I still have Choice Scarf Groudon waiting in the back to just come in and click Precipice Blades, which is pretty sweet. Grassy Terrain is up. 2 turns to Tailwind. I'm actually still down to just Moonblast and Earthquake here because it should KO Calyrex, and yes, the terrain is up. No, they actually go for Sucker Punch. Okay, that just ensures us the win unless it was Scarf Calyrex? Even with Scarf Calyrex, would you outspeed Solgaleo? We only just saw Astral Barrage turn 1 into Dynamax turn 2. Okay. Well, Whimsicott gets the Moonblast off, so that might just KO itself. Beautiful. The theory here was like, okay, Calyrex there, I think their best play maybe is to go for Protect, and then Cinderace gets an attack off, but then I get an Earthquake off, right? And I actually, if they target Whimsicott, I want the Whimsicott to faint, and with Focus Sash, like if they went for a Fire-type attack onto it, I'd survive, but then it would faint, and I'd get a free switch into Groudon. And if you target the Solgaleo slot, okay, so be it, that's fine. It's also really funny to see Cinderace actually take G-Max Wildfire damage since it's Dark-type now, but yeah. Now we basically have a guaranteed win with Moonblast and Sunsteel Strike. So, I mean, ultimately, I think what gave us an advantage here is just a really strong turn 1. Like, they led Rillaboom into my Charizard, and so it was fairly easy to just max Charizard immediately and go from there. So, now we're going to see a super effective Moonblast from Whimsicott onto Cinderace, deal the finishing blow, and get us this knockout. So, yeah. Another game where, you know, Solgaleo here is able to deal some pretty decent damage across the board, right? And ultimately, the Charizard, I would say, was super important here, and that's able to just knock out Rillaboom and get, like, the chip damage going immediately. It was super, super nice. This is such a cool team. Crobat. I actually don't remember fighting against Crobat in Series 12 at all after playing it for so many months. I just love this team. I'm down to lose to it. Crobat, Landorus, Calyrex, Kyogre, Ludicolo, and Indeedee. Okay. Kyogre Calyrex in itself is interesting. It's really cool to see Ludicolo. We actually just used that on, you know, the recreation of the 2004 Japanese National Championship winning team, which was really fun. I think about, like, using Whimsicott for Manual Sunny Day here. I think Mimikyu Solgaleo is actually a fairly interesting option here as well. Let's go for it. I want to feature as many modes as I can here. So, Whimsicott, Solgaleo, Groudon, and then for the last one, for my final trick, I think Charizard probably. It's quite good offensively, and like I said, when, you know, using this team, Charizard as in regular base form, not Dynamax or Gigantamax, is actually still really good. Yeah, this is interesting. I think, like, the thing with Mimikyu plus Solgaleo is, of course, they could lead Indeedee. Something like Indeedee and Kyogre could be annoying. If they were to do that, though, I think I would actually just protect Solgaleo, taunt turn 1 into Self-Shadow Sneak, and then nuke whatever's next to Indeedee on turn 2. So actually, in retrospect, it wouldn't even be that bad if they led Indeedee. Let's see. Crobat Ludicolo. Okay. That's cool. Definitely not what I've expected, but yeah, I mean, one of the theories of Mimikyu Solgaleo with this team is I can Self-Shadow Sneak and ignore Fake Out as well. So, yeah, we're just going to go for that. I guess what's interesting on turn 1 is, like, the Ludicolo resists every one of my attacks. Oh, how annoying. That being said, like, Charizard can finish off Ludicolo. You know, there's, like, an interesting world in which I just straight up don't max Solgaleo and max Charizard instead. I don't hate that right now. No, I think I still want to max here. I'm going to Shadow Sneak and just Steel Spike Crobat. I think, like, I was a little hesitant. I don't know. I was like, what if Ludi maxes and geysers my Solgaleo and Solgaleo just faints? Maybe it's not that bad, though. I could bring in Charizard, pivot out into Groudon, set up the Sun. Also, I ended up Steel Spiking, but Max Lightning was the correct play here because it would set up Electric Terrain to beat the Kyogre. They are going to max Ludicolo. Okay. I mean, I am okay with that, I think. Crobat's probably going to want to set up a Tailwind. Now, you know what's interesting, though, is I can angle to set up Trick Room. Or I could just pivot the Mimikyu out into Groudon if Kyogre comes out to replace Crobat, assuming they're not Focus Sash. If they're Sash, it's actually not that bad because I can just finish it off with a Self-Shadow Sneak. Or not Self-Shadow Sneak, just a Shadow Sneak. And then Crobat wouldn't do anything, and I would get like a Lightning off into Ludicolo. But yeah, not going for Lightning here was a mistake because the defense boosts don't really matter. I did not think about that as an option. What? That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and see, if I went for Lightning here, Kyogre just gets nuked too. So even a single move choice can drastically change the outcome of your game. Does this just KO my Solgaleo? Okay, we actually end up surviving, which is not what I expected, but I'll take it. Oh my gosh, though. What the heck is going on? Kyogre almost faints there. Okay, how do I salvage this game after that? Because that was a really bad turn 1 for me. I think the answer is go out into Groudon here and... I don't even think Max Lightning KOs Ludicolo, but if I had gone for it last turn... Well, actually, if I had gone for it last turn, Kyogre would have fainted and Crobat would have come in, and Crobat could have just U-turned the Solgaleo for a KO. That's such a cool strategy, though. I should have, like, thought about that a little bit more, but Crobat's just, like, not used at all in this format. I've just not really gone up against it at all. So, I didn't even know what to expect from it. Very cool. Very cool. Something like... Whimsicott Charizard could be interesting. This also could be Scarf Kyogre. I kind of expect it to be. Okay, it's not. Well, we'll get Max Lightning up, but I think Ludicolo survives. Oh, so close, though. So close. At least Mimikyu Shadow Sneak can finish off both Pokemon right now, so... Okay. I mean, I probably lose both here, though, right? Water Spout. Surprised they went for that over, like, Origin Pulse, but I guess they were just looking for 100% accuracy to finish off Solgaleo, which makes sense. I actually thought Solgaleo might have survived that, to be honest. Yeah, but it's Life Orb. That explains it. Max Geyser. Wonderfully played. Well, this endgame is certainly going to be interesting. I'm going to have Mimikyu, and because they set up the rain, I'm going to have a Charizard with actually fairly good accuracy with Hurricane in the rain, right? So, like, I can bring out Mimikyu, use Mimikyu to knock out the Ludicolo, and then use Hurricane to knock out the Kyogre. Well, okay, I guess the other question is, does Shadow Sneak actually KO Ludicolo? I'm not even 100% sure about that. Anyway, what a fun team. I love it. That's so cool. Props to my opponent. How would I play against Crobat Ludicolo now knowing your weakness policy, Ludicolo? Whimsicott Charizard is interesting. NDD Charizard. Yeah. Well, we can still win the game, so let's focus on what's ahead of us. Shadow Sneak Ludi. Hurricane Kyogre. I don't think Sneak KOs Ludi, honestly. Because, yeah, I expect it to survive with like 3%. I mean, it's only at like, what, 5%? Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it'll be fine. You just gotta trust the process. And then it's Crobat in the back. Crobat's not actually that much of a threat. And if their last Pokemon is Calyrex Ice Rider, like, we still have a chance. What? Okay, I think... Oh, maybe they wanted me to activate their policy. Okay. Well, the idea of cycling out Ludicolo so that you get access to Fake Out. Huh? Okay. Not what I expected them to go for at all, but I actually think I'll gladly take it. Because it's a lot of free damage for me. They're not weakness policy Calyrex either. Okay. Hurricane actually did less than I would have liked there, so I think I probably still lose then given that turn, but we'll see. I also just realized this Mimikyu is Play Rough instead of Will-O-Wisp. I also changed that set at some point for a team. Should not be the case. I don't think Shadow Sneak KOs Crobat. Like, I want to go for Shadow Sneak here in Heat Wave, right? Try to pick up a double KO. They might just Brave Bird. I don't even think Heat Wave KOs in the rain from that range. Okay, it's just Tailwind. Yeah, that makes sense. Does Calyrex outspeed me now? Yeah, you were Speedy Calyrex. Very fun. Very fun. My way around that is, I don't know, Self-Shadow... Or not Self-Shadow Seek. Let's see if Charizard survives. Oh, it does survive. Okay. There's still a slight chance we can win this if Heat Wave actually KOs Calyrex, but I don't expect it to, given that the rain is up. Even Crobat survives. That is really impressive. Wow. Is there any way in which I win this? I can just like a Shadow Sneak here, protect Charizard. We'll have Ludicolo and Kyogre in the back. I could Shadow Sneak to KO both Ludi and Kyogre. Oh, Calyrex protects. Wait, was that an opportunity for me to win? No, I'm so far behind right now. I don't think it really makes a difference. I honestly just thought Life Orb Hurricane would do more to Crobat. I'm curious how bulky it is, if it has any. But that's a nice play. They Tailwind again, though? I guess they didn't want to feint from Brave Bird Recoil. I respect that. But you could go for a U-turn there, right? Okay, well, I'll Shadow Sneak and Hurricane here. I think, yeah, I mean, this game was me not expecting the turn 1 strategy at all, and that was just super cool to see. And I lost too many resources too quickly, right? So Gladio just took far too much damage. Huh. Interesting. They go for another Tailwind. I guess they're just looking for 2 free switch-ins into Ludicolo and Kyogre, but, like, we could actually conceivably win right now. Because it's Mimikyu against Kyogre and Ludicolo, and if, like, I can just Shadow Sneak to KO the Ludicolo. I guess they timed the rain well, though, but, I'm like, what is the Kyogre moveset is my question. Water Spout. Like, if it's Ice Beam, Thunder, Protect, I'm not actually sure you KO the Mimikyu. So then Shadow Sneak just finishes off Ludi, and then Shadow Sneak finishes off Kyogre. So I think it was maybe a little bit ambitious to not attack with Crobat at all there, because that was just free opportunities to target Mimikyu, to be honest. Yeah, so I'm going to sneak Ludicolo, and we just gotta hope Kyogre doesn't have Origin Pulse. That's basically it. Or it misses Origin Pulse, one of the two. Yep. So we get Shadow Sneak off into the Ludicolo slot. That's a KO. All right, Kyogre, what do you got for us? Let's see. Ah, they do have Origin Pulse. Okay, then, yeah, I guess, like, they wanted to go for Water Spout earlier because they're like, I have Life Orb, so I'll get the KO. But, yeah, that was a fun one. I think, it probably didn't need to be this close. Like, Kyogre ends up fainting from Life Orb, so actually ends up being a 0-0 win for my opponent, which is always fun. But, yeah, ultimately, I love the Crobat Ludi strategy. It's really fun to see. Because, yeah, you activate Policy and get to pivot in Kyogre, so then you get the Rain Up as well. So, I don't know. If I had gone for Max Lightning on turn 1, I actually truthfully wouldn't have been in that much better shape. But Ludi and Kyogre both hanging out with just a sliver of HP made things a little bit harder for me. And, yeah, Crobat and Ludicolo. I think, like, Ludicolo in general is interesting because, yeah, my Solgaleo actually, nor my Groudon can do very much into it. So Charizard's actually my best offensive option into it, but it doesn't feel great to bring Charizard into a Ludicolo. So, yeah, it's been a fun couple of games here. So we'll play one last one to close out Sword and Shield. Okay, we've got Zacian, Whimsicott, Kyogre, Urshifu, Rillaboom, and Landorus here. I lean towards playing a Charizard-centric game, like something like Whimsicott, Charizard, Groudon, Solgaleo, maybe? Yeah, that works for me. It's interesting, right? It's like, okay, I'm bringing Charizard, they have Zacian, Kyogre, but yeah, NDD I think doesn't contribute too much in this matchup. And Mimikyu can Shadow Sneak to break Sashes. You can play Rough Urshifu. That's basically the extent of it. So the idea is if I set up Wildfire early with Charizard, great. I could also flex not maxing Charizard and then max the Solgaleo instead. I'll go with Zacian Landorus. Okay, I don't mind that too much. I mean, with this lead, I'll tell you, like, what I expect them to do is protect Zacian on turn 1 and maybe max Rockfall into Groudon. Right? So, I'm interested in the idea, potentially, of switching Charizard out into Solgaleo. Because, like, leading Solgaleo here didn't feel super good, right? If you look at my opponent's team. Like, they could go with Whimsicott Kyogre, but I think now I can protect, switch into Solgaleo, expect them to Rockfall that slot, and then I could Tailwind. The interesting debate is, like, with Charizard, or who do I Dynamax, right? Because I could max Charizard, I could max Groudon, I could max really anyone. So, yeah. But I don't know. It's like if you're facing down this, you got to be worried, obviously, about Charizard just going for a fire-type attack onto Zacian, right? So the idea here is hopefully bait out the obvious protect, but they might just read into it and say, you know what? You're not going to just stay in with Charizard and attack here. But I do think since Charty Berry is an item to respect on Charizard, that'd actually be a reason for them to just straight up attack, because they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to KO you with Rockfall anyway, so even if I protect here, you do a lot of damage, and then you KO me next turn. So this could go poorly for me. Okay, Whimsicott protects. Let's see if Zacian is going to as well. That's what we're hoping for. Okay, they Blade into Whimsicott. That also works. Maybe they doubled up with Airstream? No, Rockfall. Okay, nope, I'll take that turn. That could have been a lot worse. Feels like Life Orb damage, but I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. Nope, okay. Well, I can now go for a Tailwind here with Whimsicott. I really want to max Charizard in this game, to be honest, but I think Tailwind Steel Spike here is also maybe appropriate. Gets me a defense boost, to which I'd expect to survive any max moves they launch into that slot, and they got to be pretty careful about activating Weakness Policy. And then if Whimsicott faints, Charizard comes in, I get to click Heat Wave, and then potentially a +2 Steel Spike into the Landorus slot. So I'm maxing Solgaleo here because I don't think I have that many better options. I could be like, oh, you're going to max quick this slot and switch back out into Charizard. That's a little bit risky, though. I'm not sure I love that option. Okay, so I get my Tailwind up. And I didn't want to go for it on turn 1 because it just wouldn't result in anything, right? So the idea of going for Max Steel Spike here is to get a defense boost onto the Solgaleo, so I can take a Max Quake plus a Behemoth Blade, presumably a little better. But given how much Steel Spike just did to Zacian, I think Quake actually would have just gotten us the knockouts. Maybe it was better to just take the KO in front of us. Okay, so they're gonna Blade. Yeah, if I were them, I would just Blade and Quake into Solgaleo. So we'll see how well Solgaleo can take that. Pretty good. Okay, I like that. And Quake, yeah. Okay. Should survive that, right? Nice. Huh. Where do we go from here? Policy is now activated. I don't know the item on the Landorus, which is the other tricky part of all of this. I think I'm down a max guard here, and like I'm thinking max guard, sacrifice Whimsicott, because then I get a free switch into Groudon and I can Fire Punch Zacian and just Steel Spike the Landorus. I'm down a Sunny Day here too, because then Charizard also becomes interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna max guard. Because I don't think +2 Steel Spike even guarantees the KO into Landorus, so it's not worth going for. Sunny Day is just interesting because now it enables the Charizard a little bit better, should that be the switch in if they KO Whimsicott with one of their 2 Pokemon. They might actually double up on a Solgaleo as well to try to get the guaranteed KO onto it, but okay, they're going to Airstream. That's fine. Yup. Now I can bring in Charizard or the Choice Scarf Groudon. I default towards Charizard here. We still have Tailwind up, which is pretty important. They could Protect, though. I'm just really worried about Kyogre in the back. Bring out Charizard. What are they going to have in the back? Kyogre has 1. I don't know what the next one is going to be, though. Yeah, 2 turns of Tailwind. So Protect here doesn't just save you immediately. I am down to just Heat Wave and Steel Spike here, I think. It's the obvious play, but there's not really too many free switch-ins into Steel Spike. And they don't Protect either, which is a pleasant surprise. I think what I'm expecting is Whimsicott Kyogre in the back for them, right? What do I do if it's Whimsicott Kyogre? It becomes so interesting. Because, like, Solgaleo will actually outspeed your Kyogre. So I can just Wild Charge you, no? I could Wario Charge and Hurricane? Choice Scarf Kyogre is not what I'm worried about? Ugh. That would be a mess. Either way, I was not expecting to just get a double KO there, but if they're giving me that, I feel like then they have good switch-in options. We'll see. What do you got for us? Surely Kyogre is one of the two, but what is the other? Whimsicott? How could I have played better against their lead? Landorus, Zacian. Okay, well they're bringing out Kyogre. Rillaboom. Okay. Okay. I don't mind that too much. The main question is, what is the item on the Kyogre? Because if it's Choice Scarf, then I think I'm in a lot of trouble. Grassy Seed Rillaboom, meaning it could have Protect as well, which I don't love seeing. You know, this turn in itself is actually really interesting because Rillaboom can only fake out one of 2 Pokemon here. Given that I know your Grassy Seed, I actually think I can go for an aggressive trade here of just Hurricane into Rillaboom and Wild Charge into Kyogre. I think I accept that if it's Choice Scarf Kyogre here, I'm losing the game anyway. But if you're not Choice Scarf Kyogre here, I can potentially just pick up a KO onto either Pokemon right now. So they go for Fake Out. Yeah, and they're not covering for Solgaleo. Nice. Beautiful. Yeah, I think it's like tempting to protect the Solgaleo there, right? But one of the reasons why I loved using Solgaleo in Series 12 is because its base speed is higher than Kyogre and Groudon's, and so you can ensure that you move before them if you invest enough EVs, right? We had Tailwind as well. Oh, actually, that was the one other thing I didn't think about. Like, even if they were Choice Scarf Kyogre there, I do have 1 turn of Tailwind to work with, so you would need to fake out the Solgaleo slot. But now it's a 2v1 against Rillaboom, so very fun. Okay, just go for Blast Burn here. Both of those are same accuracy, and Fire Punch into Rillaboom. Okay, they're going to go for Grassy Glide. Let's see. I should survive that. Beautiful. But yeah, it's worth playing out if you're my opponent, because the Charizard could miss its attacks infinitely, right? And Groudon shouldn't be able to just KO the Rillaboom, but we get a burn actually from Fire Punch. Blast Burn finishes it off. Like, there is a slight win condition. It's basically you either crit Grassy Glide and get the KO onto Groudon, or, you know, I end up not KOing the Rillaboom. Charizard misses an attack. Grassy Glide KOs Groudon. Charizard misses an attack again, and then Charizard would probably have to miss like 4 attacks there, though, because, yeah, the accuracy... Or, sorry, the Rillaboom just doesn't really have too much to deal with Charizard. But, yeah. Guys, that is going to be the end of our time in Pokemon Sword and Shield for Road to Ranked. Thank you for watching so much for these last 3 years. It has just been such a fun journey, and it's been an honor to make these for all of you. And yeah, you know, I mean, we started the channel before Sword and Shield right around, I think it was like 76,000 subscribers, and to have, you know, have double that and have so many more new viewers as well as so many old returning viewers in the past 3 years means the world to me. So thanks for joining me along this journey, and I am so excited to jump into Gen 9. There's just so much fun stuff planned. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for watching. Really like you enjoy. And yeah, see you guys in Gen 9. Peace.